tune, is it, really?
When our friends in the Church of England who were organising this first heard that, they were a bit shocked. And they realised what a great tune it was, and so it went on. The next one we're going to see is the song Flying Trapeze. The army were the outside words. He flies through the air with the greatest of ease, the daring young man on the flying trapeze. Well, we converted this one, and here's the staff songs to sing for. The army would have music, and in a book of history about the Salvation Army and our music, Bramble Booth writes this: he wanted music which would have the martial and jubilant character of the Salvation Army's spirit and would carry its own message. And here's the interesting sentence: he wanted the music to be the Salvation Army itself, worked out in melody. Well, in a very remarkable way, lots of people who wouldn't claim to be composers or poets began to write music and words. And thousands and thousands of tunes appeared at the headquarters, people thinking that this is what the army needs to sing. So of course there had to be what we now call a music board, which would look at the music and judge whether it was worthwhile or not. It was my great pleasure to be a member of that board for over 30 years, and to hear new music come in and to examine it and see it, it was a great thrill. Of course, everyone who wrote music didn't write good music, and sometimes it wouldn't be, you couldn't do much with it. There's a story that Eric Moore used to tell about someone who wrote a piece and sent it in for publication and said, "The Lord gave this to me in the middle of the night." And somebody wrote back and said, "Are you sure you took it down exactly as the Lord gave it?" Of course, one is always it's a very tender thing, because people who have spent hours and hours writing music out, even though it's incorrect and needs a lot of editing, you do your best to use it because of the time that they've spent in doing it. The music board was a very interesting board to belong to, because you'd have various musicians around, people who were perhaps because of their job, say the staff bandmaster or the man from the trade department who was going to have to sell it, as well as other musicians who would be able to edit the music correctly. And oftentimes we get into very hot and heated arguments about stuff that was going to be published or not. So it was a very interesting occasion, of course. I was also a member of the Songbook Council that produced the present songbook that we have. I was on that board for about 10 years before the book was actually done. And what we did was to take the old songbook and work through it song by song to decide which ones we could keep. Because if you're going to have a new songbook, you've got to make room, you've got to take some out to put other ones in. General Arnold Brown thought if we were going to take any out, we had to write to all TCs around the world to explain or to say how many songs, or which songs we were going to take out. And it's without a word of lie to say that when that happened, there wasn't one song that we would have left in the songbook that we could take out, because someone had got some reason why it should be there. My mother got converted when the song was sung, or Auntie Charlie, it was her favourite song, or something of that, and so we just had to ignore that and go ahead and take out what we thought we could take out. Some people say, "Oh, why did we lose that song? Why did we lose that one?" And I understand that perfectly well. The song we lost that I liked very much, but then I was only one of the members, and we had a very strong lady in charge, a strong lady commissioner, who was the chairman of the board, and she would say, "We've come to number 67. Oh, we wouldn't want to lose that, would we? Let's go on to number 6. She was a very nice lady, but we had to sort of know, and I said we ought to come back to that one. Do we really need to keep it? Because you want to put other ones in its way. I think you've got a song sheet there somewhere. I don't have one, but
It's on
if I
the
could have one, I'd be
It's
very
on the
grateful. Oh, here we are. Sorry.